So the EVO lineup has been announced. So when it comes to the games that's going to be at EVO, we got Street Fighter 6. Now that I look at this Street Fighter 6 logo, it looks pretty weird. That six in the back, it's like burnt concrete with fire on the back. Like, I ain't gonna get into it too much. But we got Guilty Gear Strive, we got Dragon Ball Fighters, we got Tekken 7, King of Fighters 15, Multi Blood Type Lumina, Mortal Kombat 11, and we got the Evo throwback game they're bringing to this year's lineup, which is probably gonna try to bring into every lineup from here on out. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So this is something that's amazing. I'm pretty sure, our very own Mr. Gamerlift is going to be at Evo punching folks in the face because UMVC 3 is going to be there. But it's so many different ways you can go at this. Now, a lot of people are happy because, hey, you got UMVC 3 coming back. You got KOF 15 coming back. You got Melty Blood coming back. A lot of times when it comes to these anime games, you wonder they're going to come back. Especially, you had Grand Blue Fantasy Versus and Skullgirls last year, but they didn't make it back, but Melty Blood made it back. So
Yeah.
a lot of people are happy with that. And then, having a throwback game of UMVC 3, that kind of took, let's be honest, they kind of took the spot of another game that could be there just because they wanted to do a throwback. But at the same time, you got other people who are ecstatic because, let's be honest, like people have been keeping UMVC 3 alive for a while. You know, Infinite came out, people was like, it's a no for me, dog. And then, they just continued to keep playing UMVC 3 with the mods. Our very own Mr. Gamerlift, he's out here doing combo videos for the different mods and stuff that they have out there. So, yeah, how you guys feeling about the lineup? How do you guys feel about me being right about multiverses, um, and things of that nature? So, also the thing that came out about Evo that we need to speak on that other people weren't too happy about is that Evo only top six will be able to be showcased on the final day, and only top six is going to get paid out. So no longer top eight is going to be paid out. So the people
Wow.
tied for seventh or eighth, you're not going to be paid anymore. Only
Wow.
the top six will. So that's something that kind of shook the FGC to the core. Just like, why is this? Why is this happening? Some people speculated that it could be just to save time on the final day. But to retort to that is just like, okay, we get it to save time, but why isn't top seven or eight still being paid out? You know,
Right.
and some people feel like, hey, that's just the history of the FGC. That's how they do things. That don't mean it doesn't have to change. But at the same time, it still sucks that seventh and eighth aren't going to get paid. So, with all this stuff that I've thrown at you guys, how do y'all feel about it? The floor is open. Nobody be scared to say how you feel. The people want to know the real.
Man, all I'm gonna say is send Marvel vs. Capcom 3 back on this list, man. I always actually had a feeling it could come back, especially after seeing how this game has been revived like so well, like probably more than any other game I can think of, like in the past like 10 to 15 years or so. Um, it's just like people playing Marvel. TNS has been like a huge thing, a huge resurgence for Marvel. They posted, they doing the online, the parsec stuff. They streaming it all the time. So I'm super excited, especially and it's like it's so many new players. People still good at the game. The older players that were good, they still playing. The new blood coming in. You got new teams. People playing these unorthodox teams, which we kind of saw in a resurgence of that a few years ago. Like Marvel, at one point it was just like Virgil, Doom, Zero. It's still a lot of that. Don't get it twisted. It's still a lot of that, but there's still some people that's doing some new things. You got I think what's his name, Living Legend. He playing like Chris Wesker and I think Kuma. Just some kind of more less top tier unconventional things, but they out here running the gambit with some of the best players. So yeah, I just want to. I'm super excited to see Marvel 3 come back, man. Like it's, I don't know if we'll see it like next year's Evo. Like does it make the unless we get a new Marvel? You know, are we gonna have like a mod tournament? That you know what? Nah, that wouldn't work. I just thought about it. This is a Sony event with EVO, so that wouldn't even work. That would have to be on PC. That would probably bring up a lot of issues. So yeah, the mod stuff probably wouldn't even be involved in it. But nonetheless, seeing Marvel 3 is amazing. And then the lineup looks like what you would expect. Honestly, I mean, you got Street Fighter 6 there. That's the big one in the room. The new one on campus. The new kid on the block. That should be dope to see it. I'm pretty sure like this with what we just talked about with $1 million and then it being a new game and it looking like it's gonna be a really good game at launch, like not 16 characters with no content. It looks like it's new and fresh. I think Street Fighter 6 is gonna be kind of bananas when it first starts up, and for a good while, it's gonna be kind of bananas. Like interest four is gonna probably be ridiculous. So that's dope to see. Me and roommate King, we were watching. We actually looked at that too earlier about the payout things, and we were like, man, we were actually watching a video with Ryan Hart and Yipes doing like the whole EVO breakdown thing about what's going on. And I was like, man, it's like to get top 8 in the world in something and then not get paid is like I feel like that would sting a little bit maybe because it's like let's say let's just say ballpark Street Fighter 6 has 3,000 entrants. I don't know 4,000. I think that's a very possible number for this game. And
Yeah,
then you make top 8 of 4,000 people and you get nothing
a
but
big
maybe a little
old goose egg.
but like a medal like a top 8 medal. I mean I'm assuming they still gonna give like the top 8 like the medals like they always do. Man, that's kind of harsh. I think I saw like the breakdowns. It's like was it? I think I saw someone was like 25,000 for each like game,
Say the
main
prize
game.
pool is a minimum
Yeah.
of 25,000.
So it was like 10 something for like first place. Um, which is I mean 10K for first place is nothing to sneeze at for sure. Then of course it gets incrementally smaller as it goes. But man, like getting nothing for 7, 8, not even
Yeah,
ten
first
dollars.
first place is 10,500. Second place is 5,000. Third place is 3,750. Fourth
Mm-hmm.
place is 2,500. Fifth place, fifth and sixth place will be tied for 1,750.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you still have the accolade and you still fought hard, but I mean, going to Evo is like expensive in itself, and then just go there and get top 8 out of so many, and then like
Yeah.
not even like break even in the slightest. I'm like, man, but I mean, I guess it's just how it is. It's volatile. I mean, if you had something where it's just one or two, like two opponents, whoever wins it in most competitions, that's who takes on the prize and money. Like, well, I give you a little bit, so I guess that's like, hey, we got 8 people, we're gonna split it between them. But what about the person at the top? They should maybe technically take all of this because they were the best in the world, but we're gonna, split it up. So I guess it's not too bad. But man, I think some people gonna be like, man, 8 plays and I don't get $10. Man, profound as a great ninja once said, profound sadness.
Hey man,
Profound sadness.
at least Junk Food Arcades and came out and said like, hey, if you place seventh and eighth at Evo on your game, if you give us proof, we'll send you a free snack box. So
Oh, that's cool.
hey, at
That's a
least they
pretty
did
good
that.
consolation prize.
That's something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool as heck, man. Um, yeah, man. I think this lineup seems it's really interesting to me because there's one game on here that I did not expect to see, and that's Melty Blood Type Lumina. I did not expect to see that.
Hater.
I didn't expect it. I'm not a hater. I'm just real, man. Like, I didn't expect to see it on there. I didn't know that Melty Blood had gotten that popular. I was like, wow, I didn't know people like were playing Melty Blood like that because I hardly ever see anybody playing it. So I'm kind of like, I mean, maybe I'm just not going to the right places, I guess. So I'm glad to see it, but I did not expect to. Cause I mean, I'm still waiting for what's called to see if they put Satsuki in the game. For those of you who know and who don't know, she's like a schoolgirl that gets turned into a vampire. And I think it was Act Cadenza. I think Melty Blood. like she's actually a pretty cool character. Anyway, yeah, I'm glad to see that they actually put Melty Blood up there. That's going to be super cool. I'm really interested to see what. I haven't really seen a whole lot of like high level Melty Blood play, so it'll be really cool to see what the best of the best play like in Melty Blood at Evo. Like that's going to be really interesting. Now, as for what happens for the payouts for 7th and 8th place, I'm a two. I mean, it's kind of like, yeah, I feel like you should get something. I mean, if you're top 8, you know, I mean, you should get something, right? Traditionally speaking, you should get something. You've always got something to get top 8, but on the same token, it's like they're just kind of like, okay, you know what? We're raising the bar a little bit. So now, in order to get paid, you got to be one of the top 6 people. And I mean, yeah, it is expensive to go to Evo, and it is really expensive to go to Evo to just exist in Vegas. Just being there is expensive, right? Like to be in a room there and eating food, that's expensive. To get there, expensive. To
Bro,
pay the entry fee to get in.
did I tell
Go
y'all
ahead.
the stories of how expensive it was for me at Evo when I
Mhm.
went there? I mean, the deposit just to stay at the hotel, once you already paid the money, the deposit that you have to put down is $500. I paid
Yep.
$500, and then after that, I woke up and I had breakfast, and the breakfast was $40. This is breakfast.
That's crazy. See, exactly. Like Rexon said, case in point, it's expensive to just exist as a human being there. So it's going to cost you a lot of money to get to be there in Vegas. So you're going to want a little bit of return on your investment. But the only difference now is that you got to be way better than you were before. You know, you got to get to those top 6 things. And yeah, it is expensive, and you feel like you should get something. At the same time, though, I mean, there are literally hundreds of people who come there who pay the exact same prices, who may or may not have trained as much as you, or maybe more, trained as much as you, or maybe more, and then didn't get anything. You know what I mean? Like, so it's kind of like what it comes down to is really like it's up to whoever's running the tournament about who they want to pay, who they want to pay and how much. And you want to go to a tournament. When you go to a tournament, you are agreeing to that. That is a contract. When you say I'm signing up for this tournament, you're agreeing to being like, okay, well, just so you know, you only get paid if you get into the top 6, and you go into there actively knowing that. So it's kind of like, I mean, better that they tell you that now than like right before the tournament. Oh, by the way, you gotta, or even worse, after the tournament's over and you're like number 7 or 8, and they're like, oh, by the way, we're not paying out 7 and 8 anymore. It's like, what? So at the very least, you go into this with the full knowledge that, yeah, man, I'm going to have to make top 6, or yeah, I'm not getting any return on my investment. So, like I said, like you're saying earlier, it is traditional. Like that's the way things are done in the FGC, but things change, I guess.
And can you imagine the pain of the person in these main games when they finish like top 8, 7 or 8, and they're just like, oh man, like just knowing that it's changed and stuff like that. I hope they don't get too, full of that liquid courage. Hopefully they don't, hopefully they don't get too upset about it. But yeah, I'll start off with the top 6. When I heard the news about the top 6, it was unfortunate. Not only will they not be showcased on the final day as one of the most biggest talents in the game, not only will they not be able to be recognized amongst like some of the most well known people in the game, the most talented people in the game, they're not gonna get paid neither. You know, so
So
and
wait, the people on the stage is only gonna be 1 through 6.
yeah, on the third day it's only gonna be top 6.
Oh.
Top 8, like if you 7 and 8th is gonna be done on the last day.
Mm.
On the second day. So if you make it to the main stage on the third day, 7 and 8th is not gonna be showcased. So
Mm.
not only will you not be able to get that recognition and stuff like that amongst players, people in the scene and stuff like that, they're not gonna get paid. So it's unfortunate. It's really really unfortunate. Um, as far as like the games that they're gonna have at Evo, um, you look at that list and you're just kind of like, that makes sense. You know, you're not looking as in, and it's just like, oh my God, somebody was robbed. You don't look at it like that. I mean, I'm not gonna do that joke. People probably they, I've talked about multiverses enough. But with the UMVC 3 being brought back, I mean, it's a great thing because we know there's been a couple of games at Evo that only got 1 year, even 2 years, and then they got rid of it. Street Fighter Cross Tekken was a game that only got 2 years at Evo, then they got rid of it, I believe. I think it was only 2 years.
Cheated.
Um, Dead or Alive, when Perfect Legend won Dead or Alive, I think it was 4, if I'm not mistaken. That was the only year it was at Evo.
Also
Pokken,
cheated.
when it was won by the guy who won it, that was the only year it was at Evo. So there's a couple games at Evo that only came 1 year, but we know Evo is the cream of the crop. They're gonna do what's popular. So it's a good thing to see these throwback games come back because we could talk about how many people are gonna come back for Street Fighter 6, but also for UMVC 3. PR Balrog was on Twitter talking about like, gosh, dog, why did y'all do this to me? I don't want to play 16 hours a day. He's like, but I got to do it. It's like, yeah, welcome back to the grind, buddy. We'll see you at Evo. So, and then with the incentive of a $25,000 minimum prize pool, it could be more added on to it. And then it's sponsored by Chipotle. I mean, hey man, you win $10,000 in a Chipotle bowl, I'd be pretty happy. So, so, yeah, it's gonna be dope to see. I mean, Devin, no, when we used to watch UMVC 3 tournaments back in the day, the apartment used to be jumping like Jordan. Being there like, oh, I can't believe he did that. With Marvel versus Ultimate Marvel versus Capcom 3, you were seeing something new like every time. It was just something crazy. Like, with Street Fighter, like it's not a game that's as creative or as you could bend it to your will as much as like UMVC 3. When you see stuff at Street Fighter, most 95% of the stuff you see, you just like, okay, that's tech we know already. But man, when you was watching UMVC 3, it was something special every time. So I'm happy that that's bringing back. I mean, if your game lost a spot because of UMVC 3, all I could say is, it'd be like that sometimes. You know, sometimes your game just don't be there because they brought back a throwback game at Evo 2023. It just be like that, bro. Hold the hell.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's all I got to say about it. I'm happy for the UMVC 3 fam. If I'm not at Evo, I plan on being at Evo. But if I'm not at Evo, no matter where I'm at, I'm gonna be screaming into whatever device I'm watching it on, looking at the game. So, y'all got anything else to add before we move on to the next topic?